and welcome to another video. I was super lucky this week as I was sent a number of new tarot decks by Deckstiny, including the latest copy of the Linescape tarot. Now this particular deck I already own in a previous version, which is the Linescape version 1. And this deck originally came in a paper tuck box, as you can see, and I've reviewed this in the past if you want to have a look. So I have got both decks to sort of compare the two. So the Linescape Gold, the Linescape Tarot Gold, comes in a different type of box. As you can see, it's a hard box and it's all really nicely decorated with like cornfields, and you've got this gold foil sort of shimmery effect on the box. And when you open the box, you can see there is a lovely pattern around the box. You can see here that the author is Marte Horonumba and the artwork is done by Umsin Funfat. I've been through this deck quickly already because I'm desperate to use it. Now, all Deckstiny decks come with a sort of set of certification cards, if you will, giving you the number of the deck that you own, because they only produce like 1,000 or 500 or however many decks for each set. Now this was published in January 2023 and it is the Evolution Gold. So I got a certificate for that that's signed. When you take the cards out, you can see the base of the box there is covered in the Deckstiny logo. I love these new boxes because they're just so much better. A, to store your cards in, and B, to display your cards in, because I tend to keep my cards on a shelf. So you can see this deck is holographic gold edging. Sorry, it has gold holographic edging. So if I was to compare it immediately to my previous deck, I'm just going to have to move things around so I can fit it in. I can tell you that this previous deck had the holographic silver edging, so that's the first difference. And the second difference between the two, because the sizes are the same, is the card backs and the feel of the cards. The first set of Linescape Tarot was a matte edition, so they're very smooth. And I love these cards. I've loved this deck from the very beginning, so I was quite excited to receive a new copy. So you do get the certification card, so I'll put that to one side, and you can see here now the card back. So if I take one of these, you can see there is a difference in colour, and obviously gold edition has that shimmery gold. There is no shimmery anything on here. The feel of the cards themselves, these are not quite, they are matte, but they're just not quite smooth. I can't quite explain that. These are really I don't know if you can hear it, but like papery smooth. I really love the feel of these. I've got no problem with these. They're just a little less smooth. They're a bit more waxy, if you will. So I love the leaves. I've always had a thing about gold leaves. It was sort of the theme of my wedding. It was gold leaves. So I love these card backs. They are reversible. They're great. The standard card size. I love the holographic gold edging. So we've then got a blank card. So that's great to maybe write a note on. And we've then got another blank card. So there's lots of packing cards is what we call these. And then we move on to cards themselves. I'm just going to spin this round so you can see the actual cards themselves. The difference with these cards, and I'm trying to show you in the light, is that all the imagery, the Linescape imagery, is now golden. Whereas previously, in the previous deck, it was white. So you can see here, for example, with the Fool, if I was to do a direct comparison, the writing's in gold foil and it's obviously holographic there. You can just about make the writing here out in white. The actual imagery is the same, but the image is from gold to white. So that is sort of a what do you prefer in the before and after sort of thing. I still love the original deck, but I do feel that the font and the writing is more visible in the gold. However, I'm now going to show you right through this new deck, the Linescape Gold, and you will see some differences, not just in the writing, not just in the gold, but in the imagery in the background. So here's the Fool. I love the bright bold colours. It's just the same. I would say that the new copies of the cards are just a little bit more vibrant in terms of that pink. You can maybe just see the difference. It's just got a bit more vibrancy to it. And out of the two, I'm still I'm still sticking with deck 1 just because it's something I really, really like. So there's the Fool. And then we have the Magician. Now this is where you can see a difference in the imagery. So you can see the drawings are still the same, but in white and gold. But look, the imagery, that background is a lot more detailed and vibrant here than in this. This is down to personal preference really, isn't it? I still prefer this. I appreciate this. I'm going to use both decks. I'm going to keep both decks. I like them both very, very much. But you can see this is entirely down to personal preference over whether you want more detail or you want it to be more subtle. And I do like this subtlety. So there's the Magician. And then we've got the High Priestess. Again, the background's changed. So this one's a lot lighter. You can see the mountains, you can see the moon there, whereas this looks more realistic. We've still got the sort of the symbology there, but now we've got an owl as well. So now even the location of the font's changed, if you will, the colour of the font and the image has changed. So there are some real differences in these two decks. Personally, I'm still edging my bet on the first copy. Then we move to the Empress. Again, you can see here the image is more realistic without sunbeams rather than the sunshine, and the gold versus the white. Still the same sort of feel to the cards, but this is a lot more richer in colour with the new version than the previous version. And then we'll move to the Emperor. And again, the imagery is similar, but slightly different. You can see the colours there have changed from that pink to an orange. It is down to personal preference, isn't it, really, between these two decks. Here we go with the Hierophant, so the new gold edition. You've got that gold person there, sat there meditating. And with this, you've got the background that's just that bit more browny rather than purple. It's very, very similar, but it's down to personal preference. So here we have, here we have the Lovers. I'm just knocking cards off here. Here we have the Lovers. You can see the Lovers in white and you can see the Lovers in pink. The background has changed. We've now got the lovely blossom trees there rather than the green trees. It's all very much more pink. So it is slightly different. Then we go to, sorry, the cards are quite slippy. I'm just dropping them as I go. Then we go to the Chariot, where you can see here the sailing down the river. We've got these really bold, vivid mountains against this lot more subtle landscape. And even the clouds in the sky are slightly different between the two. Moving on to Strength, we have the two cards here. Again, we've got the difference in backgrounds. This one I love. It's so autumnal and so golden and rich, but also really nice and cartoony, whereas this one feels a lot more Lion King. You've got the lions in there, less flowers. It's a different type of strength. It's a different image. Which one do I prefer? This one again. So this is a difference between a deck upgrade. It's still got the same feel to it, obviously with the gold images there being the same as the white, but there are now differences in image as well. Some of them I prefer, some of them I don't. The Hermit, again, the colours changed, the background's changed. I actually like the new Hermit more than the old Hermit. I love the blues, the richness of it. And then we have here the Wheel of Fortune. Again, the image has changed, so now from mountains to trees. But this almost feels very Four of Cups to me. I don't know if it's the fact that we've got that light to shade. I prefer out of the two this Wheel of Fortune. So this is the difference between the decks. See, whereas this is almost identical with Justice, because you've still got the scales, but in gold. I just think the white stands out more. However, it's entirely personal preference. Hanged Man, again, I prefer the previous deck. Beautiful imagery. This time they've made the imagery smaller. We've reduced it so it fits in with their new trees. I love the landscapes in this Hanged Man. I just prefer the tones of colour in this one. So it is purely personal preference. And then we've got Death, which is still exactly the same. Well, it's not exactly the same, but it's still the same sort of feel to it, if you will. And then we've got Temperance. Now this is where you can see a complete change in colour, change in landscape, and it's even the change in image. So this is where obviously you've got the white image here, and then the gold image, which is totally different, which is piles of rocks. So two totally different cards for this one. Again, out of the two, I prefer this one. So then we move on to the Devil. totally different imagery again, both in the gold and the white stenciling and the background. Out of the two for the devil, I prefer this one. It feels nicer. This one feels more sinister. It's personal preference. They're both beautiful. Then we move on to the tower. Totally different imagery again. This tower is quite grey and quite dull and not a lot going on there, whereas this one's volcanic, and I actually prefer this one with the palm trees there and the volcano blowing. It just feels more of a tower moment. So this time I prefer this deck. So there are real differences. Moving on to the star, exactly the same image, just a bit more vibrant here. I love them both. And then we've got the moon, totally different imagery. This one here, we've got the lighthouse. We've still got a lighthouse here. We've still got the same sketch, the same Linescape, but we've got a different landscape. So it is a new deck in itself. It is worth having the two, depending on your mood. Then we've got the sun, totally different imagery again. Out of the two, I think I prefer this one. It's funny, isn't it, how we each have personal preferences for things. And then we have Judgment. Same image, nothing's changed, just the sketch work and the size of it. Because obviously the sketch work here is in the sky above that moon, or the sun maybe. I think it's a moon. Whereas here it's actually over it. So just a bit different. And finally we have the world. Same image, just a bit more vibrant in the new deck. Still love it. Still the same. And then, now in the new deck, you actually get a second option for the Fool. So that, I really like that. So I can change my fill, but it does say 22 as a number. I would have kept that as 0, so I could interchange it. So which card I'll use, I'm not sure. Now, in the new deck, you get a Happy Squirrel card, which you do with most Deckstiny Get decks. This is a previous one, this is a new one. Totally different colours, still rainbows, still mountains, but different imagery. Which one do I prefer? This one. And then we have a card, which I was never really sure what this card was called in the first deck, because as you can see, it's not titled. This time it's been titled Meditation. So at least I now know what this card is about. So it's about meditation. I prefer this card just because it's labelled. Then the beauty of the Linescape is they also include the seasonal cards. So we've got Autumn, which is identical, but we've got the gold detailing here, and the image there is just that bit richer. And then we've got Spring, again the same image, just the artwork is in gold. And then we've got Summer. I really love these cards, the times of year, because they often pop out for me and they just give me guidance as to when I'm reading for. And then finally, my favourite card, the Winter card. Now I love it in white. I feel like it works in white. It feels Christmassy, but doesn't it have work in gold as well? Just lovely imagery. So moving on to the Ace of Wands. You can see new images here, totally new images. And it is personal preference as to what you prefer. I think I prefer this one. The Two of Wands. Again, the text has now gone to the bottom. The image is still the same, but it's been horizontally adjusted. And then we've got the Three of Wands, exactly the same, just gold to white. And the Four of Wands, exactly the same, just gold to white. Beautiful artwork in both decks. Five of Wands, it changes again. We have this desert scene compared to this hurricane scene. Which do I prefer? Actually, probably this one. Six of Wands, the image has changed again. Now we've got a highway compared to the tree. Same imagery at the top, but just in gold rather than white. Seven of Wands, totally different image once again. We've got that crashing waterfall. And this time we've got fish rather than the shield. Eight of Wands, we've still got a cityscape. It's just a lot darker. I prefer this one out of the two. Still got the same imagery over the top. Nine of Wands, similar images, but obviously the trees are there, but it's different in terms of which way round they've aligned the kind of scarecrow there. Personally, I prefer the new version. You could actually make a new and old version combined, couldn't you, of which one you prefer more? But I won't be doing that. I can't mix decks. Then we've got the Ten of Wands, same image. The Page of Wands, same image again. Just a bit more rich in terms of colour. The Knight of Wands, different image. Which do I prefer? This one here. Queen of Wands, totally different image again. Which do I prefer? This one here. So for me, the first edition of the deck is possibly my favourite out of the two, but I appreciate them both for what they are. Here's the King of Wands. You'll see the imagery is different. Still, we've got the pyramids, but it's different. And then we've got the Ace of Cups, same image, just a lot darker here, if you will. Well, not the same image, but it's almost cropped. It's just really differently done. Two of Cups, almost identical image, just a lot richer. Three of Cups, I prefer this new one with the fireworks here. I think they look nicer than this one, and the image is actually different in the gold to the white. Three totally different cards, but the same sort of feeling, the same sort of vibe. Four of Cups, still got a beach scene, just a different beach scene. Five of Cups, this is where it does feel completely different in mood. We've got a very grey landscape here for the new Five of Cups compared to a very purpley sort of headachy looking sort of grief-stricken look here. And I'm just, there seems to be more care in this with the girl and the teddy bear than this here. And I associate the Five of Cups more so with this than I do this. Then we've got the Six of Cups, very dreamy landscape here, beautiful. Still the same line imagery, the line drawings, but different vibes. Seven of Cups, I love the new Seven of Cups, but I love the old Seven of Cups. So that is what mood you're in on the day, and I'm usually a pinky purple kind of person. Eight of Cups, two totally different cards, same line drawings over the top, but totally different vibes, if you will. And in a way, this one here makes more sense visually, but this one here is prettier in colours. Then we have the Nine of Cups. I love this card in the original, but I love it in the new. But two totally different pictures, two totally different line drawings as well. So a lot has changed between the two versions of the deck, especially when it comes to the Ten of Cups here, where the rainbow to me was very washed out, where it isn't now. It's really nice and vibrant and colourful. Then we go to the Page of Cups, similar but different imagery with a more of a pastel vibe here in the old deck. The Knight of Cups, beautiful new scenery here, but just not quite as beautiful as the old deck. Queen of Cups, still love the old deck. The new image is very vibrant and beautiful, but it's down to personal preference. I'd love to know which ones you prefer. The King of Cups, same image there, just more vibrant in the new copy. The Ace of Swords, similar imagery, but it is a lot more bolder, brighter and cleaner in the new version. Moving on to the Two of Swords. I love the old copy. Still the same sort of imagery in the line drawings, just a bit more subtle here. Three of Swords. I love this one. It reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. This one, not so much. Similar landscapes, similar feelings, but just different line drawings. Four of Swords, very similar. This one's a lot nicer. Five of Swords, again, two totally different cards. Thumbs down for this one, and this one here is like chess pieces, if you will. Two totally different vibes. Out of the two, I prefer this. And we've got the Six of Swords, still the same, still beautiful, just in gold. And the Seven of Swords, you can see here, the line drawings are different, the backing's different, the vibe's different. Which do you prefer? I'm on this side. Eight of Swords, again, a lot more visual here, a lot more fiery here. Almost prefer this new one. Nine of Swords, same line drawings, same backing, just a lot more vibrant. Ten of Swords, exactly the same, just the line drawings are in gold. Then we move to the Page of Swords. Totally different in colour, in line drawing, in vibe, all of it. And then we've got the Knight of Swords. Again, completely different. We go from Whirlwind to Mountainscape. So it's two totally different cards with same line drawing. And then we've got the Queen of Swords. Very similar, just updated imagery. A lot bolder and darker here. King of Swords, two totally different vibes. We've got the windmill here to Mountainscapes. We've both got birds there. One's in gold, one's in white. But the actual mood, the vibe, the feel, the message from the card feels entirely different here to it does here. Then we have the Ace of Pentacles. A beautiful, beautiful card. Now with a totally new backing. I prefer this one. The Two of Pentacles. Identical, just the gold to white. I've got the Three of Pentacles. Now this card I was never keen on in the first place, but I do prefer it now with that industrial backing. Just slightly different there. Then we've got The 4 of Pentacles, same, but changed again in the gold to white. 5 of Pentacles, I'm really glad they kept the imagery in this because this is one of my favourite cards in the deck with the snowflakes. They've just moved. No, they haven't moved the writing, actually. I just couldn't see it then. Yeah, nothing's moved, nothing's changed, just the gold to white. Then we've got the 6 of Pentacles, very similar again. The 7 of Pentacles, totally different vibe, totally different colours. Same sort of drawings, if you will, but just a bit different, really. 8 of Pentacles. You've still got the jigsaw pieces that I really, really liked in a cityscape, but it's not quite the same and it doesn't feel as bright and bold as this one. Then we've got the 9 of Pentacles, 2 totally different vibes, drawings and cards. The 10 of Pentacles still being almost identical there with the farmhouse. The Page of Pentacles, very similar, but it's almost like this is continued if you look at it. It's interesting. Very similar, but different. The Knight of Pentacles, still sort of a similar image, but they've changed that to make it more like a farmscape. The Queen of Pentacles, it's all now green rather than that sort of autumn landscape, and the imagery has indeed changed. And finally, we've got the King of Pentacles, again, totally, totally different with that mountainscape compared to that sort of junglescape, if you will. So that is the Linescape Tarot Gold, the Evolution Gold. It is very much different in terms of vibe from the Linescape original deck. And I think it's entirely down to personal preference as to what deck would suit you most. If you could have them both, I would suggest that you do, because obviously they're both beautiful in their own right. They have got different edging. They are about the same width, if you will, and weight. They've got different backs to them. They're both obviously symmetrically. You can have them upright or reversed. This one here, the new version, you've got the extra Fool card. You get certification with them both, but this is a new updated version. Let me know which you prefer. I'll be keeping both. I love them both and I can't wait to use them. Well, actually, to use a new deck. I already use the old deck. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching and I hope you found this informative. Take care. Goodbye.